Thanks, Speaker. I rise today to also speak on the Planning, Social Impact and Community Benefit and Other Legislation Amendment Bill 2025. Sadly, Speaker, a bill filled with blatant double standards, another example of the LNP rushing through legislation with the barest of scrutiny. It's interesting, Speaker, that the LNP pretends to champion local governments. We're listening, they say. They don't want wind farms, they say. When it comes to the Olympics, the LNP can't trust councils to stay on schedule, can't trust councils to get it right on planning, the very thing councils are designed to do. We shouldn't be surprised, though, with a planning minister who's calling in developments left, right and centre because he doesn't agree with the assessments of council, the same councils he's listening to. This is a minister, however, who said resetting the relationship with local government starts with listening. It's clear the LNP only listens to things they want to hear. Like the anti-renewable energy sentiment from the member for Morani, who I understand, I wasn't there, commandeered a committee flight, I read in the media, to complain about the wind farms in his area. We knew when the LNP cancelled pumped hydro last year, they weren't on the renewable energy bandwagon. As an electrician from the power supply industry and a proud member of the mighty Electrical Trades Union, I have a lot of conversations about energy, and I've always found people to be pretty positive about renewable energy. Of course, I've heard some good old conspiracy theories about wind turbines, and I'm sure we'll hear some during this debate. Birds fly into them, they explode all the time, the parts cost the earth, they're too noisy. Well, Speaker, let me read you some information about wind turbines from a page that was last updated in February this year under the term of this government. A 3.5 megawatt wind turbine can power around 2,100 homes and reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 7,100 tonnes annually. That's the equivalent of taking 2,300 petrol cars off the road. Modern wind turbines, if you listen, you'll learn something. Modern wind turbines are designed to be quiet as possible. The average noise level of a wind turbine is 40 to 50 decibels at around 500 metres. That's quieter than a lawnmower and even a dishwasher. When the wind stops, turbines can rotate for hours and continue to produce energy. And some more facts from the same web page, and you'll get, I'll take that interjection because old mate beside me will get some information in a minute about that. The same web page last updated on 22nd of May 2025, not that long ago, Speaker. Wind turbines are responsible for less than 0.1% of human-related bird deaths, much less than traditional energy production, high-rise buildings or cats. And studies have found that nuclear and fossil fuel power plants cause over 2,000 times more bird deaths than wind farms. Guess where I found this information, Speaker? Queensland Treasury's webpage, updated under this government. So anyone who gets up and bleats about bird-killing wind turbines will have the Treasurer to deal with. I can't understand why members in this place would want more nuclear and fossil fuels that kill 2,000 times more birds. Leads me to ask, Speaker, why do they hate birds? What did the birds ever do to you guys, hey? I'm also on the committee that examined this legislation, and what stakeholders told us was alarming. To start with, not meeting the standards for fundamental legislative principles is a bad look. I need to speak here as an ex-chair of a committee. FLPs should be addressed, and as our statement of reservation states, we were not happy with the lack of regard for FLPs. Being a chair, from my perspective when I was at least, was about producing a report that best reflected the views of stakeholders, not just making a minister have an easy read that pumps up his tyres. The number of stakeholders who will read this report about this rush legislation and wonder why their views weren't listened to will be staggering. King's Counsel Kate Haywood-Smith, the President of the Bar Association of Queensland, someone who should have a pretty good view, she summed up stakeholders' views of this bill very well, in my opinion, when she said, aside from the breathtaking dismantling of the rights of individuals, this appears to be very much a challenge to the institutional integrity of the Supreme Court by state legislation. It would be unsurprising to this committee, with respect, that there is a High Court authority which may be called in aid of having this legislation struck down. Pretty strong words. Not only will this legislation undermine the state's renewable energy targets, possibly national targets too, it enshrines a double standard, a two-tiered system where different rules apply to proponents of renewable energy and non-renewable energy projects. That was stated by, as stated by Katie Mulder, CEO of the Queensland Renewable Energy Council. She said, there's inconsistency with other land use frameworks. We align with the mining industry in noting the proposed social impact assessment and community benefit agreement requirements are not consistent with how social impacts are managed in the resources sector. Speaker, making life and business harder for renewable energy proponents sends a message from this government that we don't want your business in Queensland. As was noted in the Clean Energy Council submission, when they said, the lack of transitional provisions, indicative timeframes or a clear pathway for progressing applications where good faith engagement has occurred on existing proposals is unwarranted. Uncertainty around how and when the new Social Impact Assessment SIA and Community Benefit Agreement CBA requirements apply is already affecting investor confidence and project delivery timelines. This is especially critical for proponents who have made substantial commitments under the current framework, including grid connection agreements, council engagements and land access negotiations, and are now facing the possibility of being required to restart this process under the new rules. Without a clear and fair transition, this effectively introduces retrospective regulation, undermining the confidence of investors and developers who've acted in good faith. And they've done this without having modelled the impact of this new regulation on investment in our state or on our local economies. They haven't even predicted the impact of this red tape on energy prices, so much for caring about the cost of living. Labor had a plan for energy prices. We had a plan for jobs and energy. This government makes incoherent, non-transparent energy policy on the run to appease the same local governments they're happy to override in other areas to pursue their anti-renewables, pro-coal agenda. In conclusion, Speaker, we love the Olympics.